gosh, it's an i7. Well, that was a lot of problems. Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the most underrated tech channel. That's right, tech channel now, because I do other stuff other than computer building. And in the spirit of Valentine's, I'll be building this pink themed gaming PC that only cost me around 734 Canadian dollars, or for you Americans, just under 550 USD.
So what I have here is an i7 6800K that I got locally for just $40. It is a CPU that fits on the LGA 2011-3 socket motherboards, which is also known as X99. The i7 has 6 cores and 12 threads, has a base turbo frequency of 3.4 GHz and a turbo up to 3.8 GHz. The performance of this chip is similar to a Ryzen 5 2600X, but it consumes way more power. For the motherboard, I picked up this Machinist X99 MR9S ATX motherboard for 120 Canadian dollars. Even though this is a really nice looking motherboard, it's still $20 extra than what I was willing to pay. But for the sake of this video, I will allow my wallet to take a bullet. But price aside, this motherboard is actually pretty nice considering it's brand new, supports up to 8 sticks of DDR4 memory, has 3 M.2 slots, one for Wi-Fi, one for NVMe, and one for SATA, and it has debug LED and speakers. Side note, you cannot disable the onboard speakers, so every time you turn on the PC you will hear a couple of beeps. To cool the CPU, I picked up this GAMDS Boris E1 cooler for $34 locally at Canada Computers. It has 4 copper heat pipes and a 4-pin PWM ARGB fan, but I swapped it out with a pink ARGB fan. And since the AliExpress X99 boards usually are fake X99s that does not support overclocking, this cooler was able to keep the i7 6800K under 50 degrees at max load at the default settings. For the memory, since it's Intel, I decided to go with this kit of 16GB running at 2800 MHz kit that I bought a long time ago for $60. And another reason I picked this kit is because it's red and Valentine's hearts, you know. Anyways, I don't know if it's just the motherboard or the CPU, but I was only able to run it at 2133. This also brings up another really important detail about the AliExpress motherboard, which is that it does not have XMP support. Then again, since it's Intel and it's on the older side, anything past 2666 MHz won't affect performance at all. As for the storage, I was originally going to use this 1TB NVMe from Team Group that I got for $55, but after installing the $5 heatsink on it, I realized that it gets too close to the PCIe slot and the locking mechanism for that blocks it. So I decided to use another 1TB NVMe SSD that I had on hand, and oh boy, I found out that I had 2 faulty 1TB NVMe SSDs, which I made a YouTube short about that you could check out on the top right hand corner if you're still watching the video or give a shit. But yeah, that's about $120 down the drain. Anyway, since I'm using a different NVMe SSD without the heatsink, it actually brings up the total cost by $5. Next up, since I'm gonna sell this locally for 890 Canadian dollars, I decided to add this Wi-Fi and Bluetooth PCIe card, which I got for $30 off AliExpress brand new. But I realized another problem with the AliExpress motherboard is that it only has one USB 2.0 header, which means that Bluetooth won't be working if I do use this network card. So I had to go with another PCIe Wi-Fi card, which costs around the same that I got off Amazon warehouse without a Bluetooth adapter built in. Now let's talk about the graphics card. I got this RX 5700 XT brand new from AliExpress, shipped to my door for just 200 Canadian dollars. There are lots of brands on AliExpress, but for this one I got it from Soyo, and I picked Soyo because I ordered a lot of motherboards from them and they work absolutely fantastic for the price. Anyways, for the price you're getting 8GB of GDDR6 memory, 4 video outputs, which is perfect for multiple monitor setups, and a really beefy heatsink with a triple fan design. And on top of that, supports a lot of modern features and still receives driver support from AMD. As for performance, it's actually similar to an RX 6600 XT, which is a tiny bit faster than the RTX 3060. Before I get to the last 2 problems I had with this build, let's talk about the power supply. Since the RX 5700 XT is a bit more power hungry than the RX 6600 XT or the RTX 3060, and I wanted the build to be future proof, so I picked up the 750 watt unit from Ares Game, which is 80 plus bronze and it's semi-modular for just $60. This will not only future proof the graphics card upgrade path, it will also future proof the CPU upgrade path. Of course, this is a pink themed gaming PC, so I had to include these pink Formula Mod cable extensions that I got from AliExpress for $25. Although the result looked really nice, I had two critiques for this cable mod, which is that the two built-in cable combs is not enough to keep the cables clean, and the cables are way too soft. Next up is the case. I am once again using this white CC560 deep cool case that is only available in Canada as far as I could tell, and I'm gonna count it as $45 since I sold the included blue LED fans locally. This case is really nice for the price because it has ventilation on the front and pretty decent space for cable management in the back, but the quality control on these cases are not the best, which brings me to the first of the last two issues of this build, which is that the front audio connector is not working. Although it could just be the front audio connector not working on the motherboard, but it's not a huge issue since a lot of people's audio devices uses USB or has the speakers and microphone as two separate connectors. Since I'm building a pink themed gaming PC, I decided to add two kits of pink ARGB fans from VTrue, which comes with a controller and a hub. Unfortunately, I only ended up using 5 because out of the 5, one of them had faulty LED on it. But that is not the last issue for today's build, but instead is the fan speed. Not only did smart fan control not work on the motherboard, the fan speed on the VTrue controller is at least 80% fan speed at the lowest setting and 100% fan speed at the highest setting, which is super loud. So I went on Amazon and ordered this kit of 3 low profile PWM fan adapters from Noctua for $12. And after connecting it between the hub and the ARGB fans, the noise level went down by at least 50%. Now with all of that out of the way, here's a quick price tally for the gaming PC that I built on Valentine's. And the total came out a little bit above my starting budget because of all these small issues. With that said, here are the benchmarking results. For this PC, I tested it in 2 synthetic with 9 different gaming benchmarks. And please bear the quality of today's recording because I could not disable HDCP on the graphics driver for some reason, so OBS won't let me record. First up is Cinebench. It got a multi-score of 6,397, which is really similar to a Ryzen 5 2600 and 2600X. Next up, I tested it in 3D Mark Firestrike, and after a few runs, I got a score of 18,723. For the games, I tested them all in 1440p, and first up is GTA 5. At the Ultra settings with only FX AA enabled, it was able to get an average of 98 FPS with the built-in benchmark. The second game I tested was Warhammer Vermintide 2. At the Extreme preset on DX12, it was able to get an average of 84 FPS. Now to get all the built-in benchmark games out of the way, I tested it in Cyberpunk 2077, and at the high preset I got an average of 70 FPS. Now for games I actually have to play, I first tested in Overwatch 2 at the Epic preset with FSR disabled. This PC was able to get an average FPS of 102, which is a pretty great FPS for 1440p gaming at this price point. This also shows that if you lower the settings a little bit, you could definitely play on a 144Hz 1440p display easily. Next up, I tested it in Hogwarts Legacy at the medium preset with TAA at low. This PC was able to achieve an average FPS of 84, but that was only when it's outside. While inside the building, the FPS numbers will go up to 120 FPS. And I have to add that even running at the medium preset, the game looks absolutely amazing. The next game I tested is not the best, but still fairly popular, which is Battlefield 2047, and at the high preset with future frame generation on, I got an average of 70 FPS. After that, I benchmarked the most popular yet boring game, Valorant, at the max settings, and after a full Spike Rush game, I got an average of 183 FPS. After that, I tested in Apex Legends at the very high settings with the anti-aliasing enabled, and after a trios game, I was able to get an average of 119 FPS. And here's another example of a game where you can lower the settings and achieve that 144 FPS mark. Lastly, I tested in the best crossover game there is, Fortnite. At the pro settings in DX12, I was able to get an average of 182 FPS. And that is it for today's build. Comment down below if you liked the video or leave suggestions on what I should make a video about next. Now if you enjoyed the video, please give this video a thumbs up. If you didn't, still give this video a thumbs up because nobody can see the dislike number anyways. And also subscribe if you're already not subscribed. With that said, thanks for watching today's video and I'll see you guys in the next one.